It's a good morning to you. Welcome to Asakhe Online. My name is Zenzele Ndebele, and at site we always bring you the best, and we talk of the things that happen in our communities, current affairs, politics, and of course these days in Bulawayo we are talking about water. Every time you meet someone, there's a gathering. They'll be saying, "Last we had water 2 days ago or 5 days ago." But anyway, what we can do in a city where we use about 165 megaliters a day. We have gone down to less than 90, and we hope that something is going to happen. We believe in miracles. We are a Christian nation, and we hope that the rains are going to come early, or something is going to happen. We don't run out of plans in the City of Kings. Today in our program, we have a special guest. We have the new American ambassador to Zimbabwe. She's been here, I think, since July. So she's new in Bulawayo. This is her first trip in Bulawayo. So happy to have you. And would I be correct to say, welcome to Bulawayo, Ambassador Tremont?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I've been trying to pronounce the name, but it didn't sound that difficult.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe my first question, I would say, you coming here, obviously with a mission to achieve, but what would you say are your priorities or in your term of office?
Well, I should say that our overarching goal is a prosperous Zimbabwe that can stand on its own feet, provide for its people, and partner with us on mutual interests and combating global challenges. That is our primary goal. So everything we do feeds into helping Zimbabwe become that self-reliant, self-sufficient country. And in the meantime, we support the people of Zimbabwe as they try to advance their democracy and their inclusive economic growth, improve their health and their food security. And we work with the government and business communities, civil society, academia, even the creative spaces to try and support people as they try and achieve that goal. We think it's a shared goal, and we just want to help the Zimbabwean people chart their own future.
One of the mantras of this government is that Zimbabwe is open for business, and obviously they've been talking about investment. As the new ambassador, do you see any opportunities for American businesses to come here in Zimbabwe and pursue?
Well, actually, one of my top priorities since I've been here, partly because the government has also expressed an interest in it, is improving the investment climate in Zimbabwe so that more U.S. companies will be interested in coming to this country. We all hear that Zimbabwe is open for business, but as I always say, every country is open for business. We need to improve the regulatory certainty, the tax certainty, currency situation, the anti-corruption efforts, strengthen institutions so that there's unbiased rule of law. That will make Zimbabwe an attractive destination for American companies. When American companies are looking around at where they want to put their money, we want them to look at Zimbabwe and find it to be the best possible destination. So I'm hoping to work with the government to improve the investment climate. We think that that will dramatically increase the prosperity of the country and the people here.
Yeah, and over the years, I think the U.S. government has really been supportive to civil society and been vocal about the human rights abuses in Zimbabwe, and in a way that has proved really helped the situation. But critics in Zimbabwe would usually say the American government cannot teach us democracy, especially now when they talk about the war in Ukraine, the war in Israel. They say these are the last people who can tell us about democracy. What would be your response to that?
Well, first of all, we stand up for human rights and democracy in Zimbabwe because it's in Zimbabwe's own constitution as it is in ours. Both of our constitutions start out with "we the people." And so we will always stand up for our principles in that respect wherever we see problems. And we think that human rights and respect for rule of law is a critical part of that economic prosperity that we just talked about. U.S. companies want to know that when they come here, their investments will be safe, and that if they have any legal problems, it will be judged fairly. So that we consider those key components of the economic prosperity agenda that is my priority. As far as Ukraine, the evidence that Russia has tortured and killed tens of thousands of people in Ukraine is indisputable, and that war can end tomorrow. All Putin has to do is leave Ukraine. As far as Gaza, the humanitarian situation there, the violence is just absolutely tragic. Secretary Blinken has spent untold hours and days in the region trying to negotiate a ceasefire with the help of Egypt and Qatar to end the violence there. And so far, Israel has accepted that ceasefire agreement and not Hamas. So we hope they'll take that opportunity soon.
Coming back to Zimbabwe, where you are, and the issue of sanctions has always been a contentious issue, with the government of Zimbabwe saying, Zimbabwe is still under sanctions. If the head of state is under sanctions, therefore the country is also under sanctions. During your term of office, how do you intend to navigate that area?
Well, first of all, let me be really clear. Zimbabwe is not under sanctions. In March, we ended the Zimbabwe-specific sanctions program that targeted only Zimbabwean individuals, and just a few of those people have been transitioned over to our global Magnitsky list. 11 Zimbabweans are on that list, and the criteria for that is corruption and human rights abuses. And the evidentiary standard for including people on that list is actually quite high. Now, that's 11 people out of the 700 people on the global Magnitsky list, represented by 44 different countries. So Zimbabwe is no more under sanctions than South Africa or Turkey or any of the other countries whose citizens are on that list. Since March, we've been talking to U.S. banks and financial institutions about why they're not returning to Zimbabwe and what's keeping them away. And almost none of them ever bring up sanctions. They understand that that is not what is preventing them from coming to this market. But they need a business case for doing so. And that's one of the reasons I'm really focused on the investment climate here.
We hope soon there will be more banks and the transactions will be easier. For young people. Talking about these transactions, the American government has supported quite a number of cultural and educational exchange programs between Zimbabwe and the US, and we've seen young people going there for different programs. Do you intend to continue with that or even increase those opportunities?
Oh yeah, those exchange programs are a key component of our diplomacy here in helping Zimbabweans understand us better. We think that we have a lot to learn from each other and share. Increasing that cultural understanding is really important. So we have 23 different exchange programs and send about 100 people a year to the US on these exchange programs. We send about 100 people a year to the US on these exchange programs. And people from business and academia and culture and even government. And so we're going to continue those, absolutely. It's one of our strongest programs, and I think things that people appreciate the most. People can look for those opportunities on our webpage and on our Facebook site. So anyone who's interested in participating is welcome to apply to those.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I should also mention, we have 1,700 Zimbabwean students at U.S. universities in the U.S. Many of them go there on scholarship, but that makes Zimbabwe the second largest source of African students at U.S. universities per capita, and we're really proud of that. So many Zimbabweans are choosing to study in the U.S.
Probably shows how hardworking Zimbabweans are, especially young Zimbabweans. And growing up, everyone always talking about we want to live the American dream. But for young people, going to America has always been I want to go and see. So as someone who has seen Zimbabwe and met young people during your stay in Bulawayo and in other areas, what would be your message to a young Zimbabwean?
Well, the young people I've met throughout Zimbabwe so far in Harare and Bulawayo, but over the last couple of days in Bulawayo in particular, I'm just amazed at how dynamic and inspirational they are. They're using the skills that they've learned in the U.S. and elsewhere to help their communities and build a better life for themselves and their families. I met a woman yesterday who studied at university in the U.S., but she was determined to come back and help her homeland. She didn't want to stay in the U.S., and she's built a textile factory here in Bulawayo that employs dozens of people and gives vocational training to young women who are trying to find economic opportunities for themselves. And she's, people like that are just so inspirational to me. And I hope that anyone who has lived or worked or studied or been on one of our exchange programs in the U.S. feels inspired by what they've seen in our country and can come back and help their own.
Ambassador, I would have loved to talk about many things, but I know you're on a tight program. Probably there's someone waiting for you, and we just want to thank you for this opportunity to talk to you and get to know some of the issues and the the plans, and we hope to host you again next year in Bulawayo or any other time when you have an opportunity to be here.
I would love that. I think we have a good story to tell. The people I meet here in Zimbabwe seem to really appreciate the long-standing and consistent support of the American people since 1980. As the largest bilateral donor to Zimbabwe, we are, deeply involved in improving health and food security and agricultural practices for Zimbabweans, as well as education. And people are eager to hear that story. So I'm happy to come back anytime and talk about the tough issues, even sanctions and human rights, which none of us is perfect, but we can only improve and learn and grow if we work together.
Yeah, beyond the human rights and sanctions, I think there are a lot of other issues where we can cooperate. And to the young people in Israel, America, and there are many opportunities that you can, take on. And when we sometimes advertise these opportunities, the Washington Mandela Fellowship and many other scholarships that are there, why not take the opportunity and to advance yourself? And so it's been a privilege for us to talk to the ambassador and understand what's going on. And I hope you enjoy this program, and you can go to their website, get more information, look for more opportunities. At the end of the day, the sky is the limit for the young people in Zimbabwe. You can do better. We can rise above the economic and political challenges that we have in this country and have a better future. My name is Zenzele Ndebele. Let's meet again in other programs.